Imagine a typical school day where the mundane routine of classes and lunch breaks is disrupted by something so horrific it transforms your sense of safety into one of sheer terror. You've asked for it, and now it's here, a collection of real-life school lockdown stories that will keep you on edge. Brace yourself as we delve into these spine-chilling accounts, where the ordinary becomes extraordinarily frightening. It was a seemingly ordinary Friday, the final stretch before the long-awaited spring break. Our calculus class was nearing its end, the routine day punctuated only by the occasional laughter and banter of students eager for the weekend. The classroom, typically a place of academic focus, had shifted into a more relaxed atmosphere with our teacher's decision to play a game on Sparkle, a harmless distraction from the usual grind. The digital clock on the wall ticked away, counting down the minutes to freedom. The room buzzed with a collective sense of relief. We were all anticipating a leisurely break with no major assignments or tests looming over us. Everything felt calm, almost festive. Suddenly, the classroom's atmosphere was pierced by an alarming crackle from the loudspeaker. The dean's voice, usually calm and collected, now trembled with palpable panic. "This is not a drill. Lockdown immediately." His urgency sent a jolt of fear through me. I looked around the room and saw that my classmates were also gripped by sudden apprehension. Our normally laid-back teacher, Mr. Johnson, who had been the epitome of calm just moments before, abruptly stood up and switched off the lights. The room plunged into a dim, unsettling gloom. We scrambled to the back corner, our laughter replaced by the sharp sting of fear. The buzzing sound from the back panel of the classroom stopped abruptly, an indication that the school's power had been cut. The gravity of the situation became starkly clear. Minutes felt like hours as we waited in breathless silence. The darkness seemed to stretch endlessly, amplifying every small sound. Then the piercing scream of a man echoed down the hallway. It was a raw, guttural sound, an expression of madness that made our skin crawl. The sound grew louder, mixed with the pounding of metal lockers. "I'll kill all of you!" The voice, filled with rage, reverberated through the corridor. The atmosphere in the classroom was now thick with terror. Two girls in our class began to cry uncontrollably, their sobs merging with the man's relentless threats. The banging on the lockers was relentless, escalating until it reached our classroom door. The man's demands for us to open up were a chilling contrast to the terror we felt. The loud banging seemed to shake the very walls, the sound of it hammering into our senses with terrifying regularity. The situation felt like an eternity, each second stretching into an unbearable length. The man's pounding on the door grew more frantic, his voice a chilling echo of madness. The cries of the girls in the room became increasingly desperate, their fear mirroring our own. Then, just as abruptly as it had begun, the banging stopped. The man's screams faded into the distance, leaving us in a tense and eerie silence. Finally, the dean's voice crackled over the loudspeaker again, attempting to reassure us. The explanation was horrifying. An unstable individual had breached the school, assaulted a staff member, and fled. The school's lack of proper security and cameras had left us vulnerable. The staff had conducted a sweep, but had found no trace of the intruder. We were instructed to resume classes, but all doors were to remain locked, and no one was allowed to leave. The most unsettling part of the ordeal came later. One of the janitors, working the night shift, found the man hiding in a storage closet near the back of the school. According to rumors, the man had a .44 Magnum in his pocket. By the time police arrived, the man was gone. To this day, my classmates and I are left wondering if he was ever apprehended, or if he still roams free, and the thought of that lingering uncertainty is profoundly unsettling. In early October, the weather was overcast and rainy, a fitting backdrop for the unsettling events that unfolded. During the first lunch period, the usual chatter and clatter of the cafeteria were abruptly interrupted by four loud booms. At first I thought it was thunder, but the frightened screams of students quickly dispelled that notion. Campus security burst into the cafeteria, shouting for everyone to move into the multi-purpose room. Students, who had been enjoying their lunch, were hurriedly directed to discard their food and join the crowd. The multi-purpose room, a massive space with walls of glass, became a makeshift sanctuary. As we were rushed inside, security covered the glass with curtains, and adults stationed themselves at every exit, creating a barricade against whatever danger lay outside. My friend Eric, driven by curiosity, approached one of the adults and asked what was happening. When he returned, his face was ashen. "There's a man outside," he said, "a mentally unstable man who has barricaded himself in front of his house. He's threatening to kill himself and anyone who tries to intervene. He's also a registered sex offender, which makes everything even more terrifying." The lockdown stretched on, lasting through 2 lunch periods. We were stuck in the multi-purpose room, our minds racing with thoughts of the dangerous man outside. The situation was compounded by the fact that this man lived near my friend Brandy. She had seen him on Halloween engaging in disturbing behavior, carving messages into his flesh and writing threats in his own blood. What had once seemed like a bizarre Halloween prank now felt like a chilling premonition of the day's events. When the lockdown finally ended, we were escorted back to our classrooms one by one. The fear that had gripped us throughout the ordeal lingered long after. The knowledge that the man was still out there, living so close, added an unsettling layer to our already fraught sense of security. Story 3. The Basement Horror. A few years later, as a fresh college graduate, I landed a job at my old high school. It was a quiet position as a computer intern working in the basement of the school. The basement was a labyrinth of disorganized storage, except for our small office, an oasis of comfort amid the chaos. It had 3 large desks, 2 mini fridges, a flat-screen TV, and luxuriously air conditioning that was a rare treat for the school. One day during my lunch break, the routine tranquility of the basement was shattered by an urgent phone call from the front office. "The school is on lockdown. There's a possible armed intruder inside." My heart raced. The basement door unfortunately lacked a working lock, leaving me exposed. I quickly turned off the lights in the office, trying to conceal my presence. The dim glow of my computer screen was the only source of light in the otherwise pitch-black room. Sitting in the oppressive darkness, I tried to stay calm. I sent multiple texts to my colleagues, Dave and Gary, but received no response. I was left in an agonizing limbo, unable to know what was happening outside my tiny refuge. My only solace was the small screen of my phone, which offered little comfort. Then the basement door creaked open, the sound piercing through the silence. Footsteps echoed ominously, growing louder as they approached our office. Panic surged through me as I crouched under my desk, my heart pounding in my chest. I felt a cold sweat form on my brow, every tiny sound magnified by the dark, oppressive silence. My phone dinged with a new message, a sharp reminder of my vulnerability. The message from Dave read, "Dude, this is insane. There's a guy with a gun. He shot Mr. Buckley. He's wearing a red shirt and a hat. Whatever you do, don't come upstairs." I read the message with a growing sense of dread. I looked up and saw a shadowy figure standing in the doorway of the office. The man, wearing a red plaid shirt and a hat, seemed to be searching for something or someone. His presence felt menacing, his demeanor unsettling. The man introduced himself, claiming he was hiding from the chaos. He said he was there to pick up his son when a teacher had advised him to take cover. He asked if there was an exit from the basement. I directed him vaguely, my mind racing with fear and suspicion. As I questioned him further, trying to assess his intentions, a gunshot rang out. The sound was deafening, and I could hear the bullet ricochet off something metallic in the darkness. My adrenaline surged, and I bolted for the stairs, racing through the basement with a terror-stricken heart. I made it to the top, narrowly escaping the chaos. Police were waiting at all exits, and they apprehended the man as he attempted to flee. It turned out he had targeted Mr. Buckley, a teacher with whom he had a personal vendetta. The reason for his attack remained a mystery, but the sound of that gunshot, the echo of danger and violence, would haunt me forever. These stories are a grim reminder of how quickly the familiar can turn into something terrifying. They illustrate the fragility of safety and the ease with which ordinary places can become the setting for extraordinary fear. Always stay alert, because you never know when a routine day might descend into a nightmare.